Good evening, everyone. My name is Shay Moraga. I'm the founder and visionary of Shay's Warriors Life After Cancer here in Palm Desert, California. And I have the very privilege to be able to interview my friend and warrior Elizabeth tonight in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. She's going to share her story with all of you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being here tonight. I'm really been touched with your story. I've heard it a few times, but every time you tell it, I feel like I'm hearing it for the first time. We have a lot of friends and people going through breast cancer and or just finished their journey of breast cancer. Give us a little bit of background about your journey. When did that start? And how told and what were you told?
My journey started in June of 2021. I found my own lump by doing a self exam. I had kind of noticed some changes in my breast. I had some weird itchiness in between my breast. I was pretty consistent about getting my mammograms done, but that year I was a little bit behind because of the pandemic. Everyone was scared, a little bit of paranoia to go, including myself. But I knew I had to do it because I had heard, other stories of missing your screenings and something all of a sudden happens and you get that diagnosis. Um, so one day I was doing my self exam and I found a lump and it didn't feel right. And it was in that area where I felt that discomfort, a little bit of itchiness. And I kind of in that moment panicked because I knew there was something going on. And in my heart, I already felt it. So immediately, I didn't delay. I called my doctor. I told her what was going on. I told her, I need to get in to see you as soon as possible. I don't want to wait because I can feel it. It's like a clear lump. It wasn't. It was just there. You could feel it. Um,
Was it a round lump? Like what do you recall what it felt like? Was it
it
hard? Did it squish? Did it hurt when you squished it?
it did hurt. It was. It felt hard. It was to me. It felt like the shape of a dime. Um, it was just odd. It wasn't normal. Like it didn't feel like normal tissue. It just was off. But in that area, there was like a weird sensation, like an itching sensation. And I always tell people it itched. It wasn't. It was weird. That's not common. So I told my doctor about all of those feelings, how it felt, and right away, she wasn't going to be able to get me in, so she made the decision to go ahead and send me to have my mammogram done because she was concerned that if I was feeling this, that maybe something was going on. Um, and I did my mammogram, um, but when we did the initial mammogram, they couldn't find it. They didn't see it. They couldn't see it. And I was adamant that it was there. I did not give up. And I told them, I'm not walking out of this office until I know 100% that I'm okay because I feel something. So they walked out and they went and talked to the radiologist, and he said flat out, if she's adamant that there's something there, we need to look into it. I want you guys to do an ultrasound with her because women don't just complain to complain. They complain because they feel something. It's something in their gut. So they came back and they told me, okay, here's this little sticker. We want you to place it on your breast where you feel the lump. And I did. We went into the ultrasound room. They explained the process to me, everything that they were going to do. They were going to do some images and have it reviewed. We started doing it, and right away, when she put the ultrasound machine on that one spot, she was already starting to take pictures of that one spot. And then she brought out like a little measuring tool. When she did that, I knew something was up. I think in that moment, my heart just stopped because I already kind of had told myself I knew what I was going to hear, but I didn't want to admit that that was something that I was going to hear. She did tell me that she needed to step out. She went and grabbed the radiologist. He came back and he said, yes, we did find a mass that is concerning. I want to take some additional images. And then, after that, we'll go from there to see what I see. And based upon the pictures and images that he had, he said it was something that he felt we needed to biopsy because he had concern, the size, the location, because it was so hidden. It was super close to my breastbone. And because it was in that spot, it was really hard to catch with the mammography. So this was my one chance to make sure that they didn't make a mistake. I later came back about 2 weeks to do the biopsy. He said, I'm sorry, we have to go through the weekend with you not knowing. I think that was probably the worst 3 days of my life. I can't lie and say that I didn't think about it every single day, because I did. I put a smile on my face every day just to get through things. But in my heart, I knew I was about to get some bad news. I was supposed to get a call on Wednesday, which was supposed to be my day off. But instead, I got a call on early Monday morning, and it was my radiologist. I knew the phone number because I had seen it so many times at that point. And when I answered the phone, they asked for me, and he clearly said, "This is your doctor. I do have some bad news to tell you. I'm sorry, you have breast cancer." And at that point, that's all I heard. I didn't hear anything else that he said. All I could hear was, "I'm sorry, you have breast cancer." It just kept going in and out through my head. That's all I kept hearing. "You have breast cancer, you have breast cancer, you have breast cancer." Like everything he was saying, I don't recall what he said. All that I took away was that I have cancer and that he was sorry. And I didn't even know how to put myself together, because I knew I needed to go home and I needed to find the strength and the courage to tell my children, to tell my husband, to tell my family. And just thinking about that, it was devastating. It was devastating to hear the news, but to think that you have to share this news with your family, it's not easy. It's probably the most difficult conversation that I've had with my family. But I realized once I got through all those conversations, how much love and support I was going to have through my journey. So they really helped me get through the next few months of all of the imaging, all of the testing that needed to be done just to get to that treatment plan. I didn't start chemotherapy until September. I did 4 rounds of the AC combo, which broke me down to my core. Like, I was sick all the time. I just wanted to sleep all day, all night, just to not feel anything, not feel how nauseous I was, not to be around anything. I just wanted it to be quiet. I didn't want anything. I just felt horrible. I lost all my hair. Um, I remember the first time that I lost my hair and I looked in my mirror. It was the first time that I had finally had the opportunity to truly acknowledge that I had cancer, that I was a stage 2 invasive, hormone positive breast cancer patient. And I was about to go through the most difficult part of my life. And I had to find that strength to get through it every single day. I I knew that I wasn't the same person once I saw that image of myself without hair. It was very eye-opening. You, as women, we really define ourselves by how we look, our hair, our breasts, and that piece of me was gone. The one thing that I did do to help me get through that is I always made sure, even when I went to chemotherapy and I was feeling miserable, to always put a little bit of makeup on to make me feel good, to make me feel beautiful and special, and not to allow cancer to take that away from me, because cancer doesn't take away your beauty. It doesn't take away your womanhood. It doesn't take that away. It just changes other factors of your life. But I always made that a point that cancer wasn't going to do that to me. And if my lipstick made me smile a little bit brighter, if my eyeshadow allowed me to shine a little bit brighter, then that's what I was going to do. And every time I went into chemotherapy, my nurse would always say, "Elizabeth, you look so beautiful. Look at you. You always come in with your makeup all done." And it just made me feel good. It made me feel good. It just took away some of that challenge that I knew I was going through. And if that brings me comfort, even as a memory, like that, to me, that point in my life, I always think back. I always smiled because there was something that I had to make me feel special. um, you know and it's good to find little things like that to help you get through and cope when you're having a difficult time. And that was for me, um, my coping, to make sure that I had something to make me feel pretty. And I'm really glad I did it, because there was some days, chemotherapy doesn't make you feel good. You're pale, you're nauseous, but to find that, it was good. Um, After the first 4 rounds of that chemo, I did 12 full weeks of, I believe it was Cytoxan. I can't remember. It's been
So you
so
did,
long.
you, it sounds like you did Promycin, Cytoxan. That's
Mhm.
the combo.
And
Carboplatin usually is along with that. And did you do Taxol?
yes, Taxol. That's
Yeah.
the one I did for 12 weeks. So that was the final, my final 12 weeks. I didn't get too many symptoms from the Taxol, which was good, but the hardest part was the neuropathy. I did experience neuropathy with it, but my doctor was phenomenal. He did have a supplement that he had me take that helped ease some of those tingling sensations in my feet and my hands, so that it didn't get as bad as it could have. Um, I thank my entire cancer team, because they took care of me from start to finish, from day one. Like, I never felt alone. I never felt like no one cared. I genuinely felt that I was loved in that office. The nurses, the staff, the doctors, I always felt like I was cared about. And that is so important when you're going through that and you are watching other cancer patients in that office and you see everyone from every stage of cancer, to see that everyone gets treated the same way, to see that cancer patients will give you that same love and affection and encouragement, even when they're not doing so well. They are still there to hold your hand and to tell you, keep fighting, you've got this. And it is probably the most beautiful thing that you can ever experience and share with somebody, is to have another cancer patient, another warrior who is just to sit there and tell you, don't give up, keep fighting. It's remarkable. It truly is remarkable.
So that brings me to one of the questions that I have. Thank you for sharing that heartfelt and beautiful story, because as we know, when we share our stories, we heal. So even though my story is not your story and your story is not my story, there are commonalities that can help others hearing the triumphs and tribulations and how resilient we can be. I just, just what you said, you found your lump. We were in that odd period of time of the pandemic, and you acted for yourself when you could have just gave up. Your intuition was strong and you knew something was not right. It was not adding up. And I think that's really important for anyone watching or listening to this, your story. The fact that if you feel something is not right, don't give up. Keep going and keep figuring out, peeling that, what's going on, because our bodies do tell us when something's not right, but we have to listen. We have to quiet the mind and really listen. So I just, I commend you and I applaud you for not giving up, because you are this beautiful, lightful human being that your story matters. And thank you. One question: when you got the call on that Monday, were you at work alone?
I was. At that time, we pretty much had gone down to a skeleton crew. So it was just me in the office. And I took that call. As I mentioned, I had seen the phone number several times, so I knew what the number was, and I knew that it was a call that I had to take, and it wasn't something that I was going to wait or call back. So I took the call.
How did that make you feel when you took that call? I mean, you were alone, essentially. That must have been very traumatic to take that call, those words, to go numb, where it's like all you do is hear those words replay over and over in your head, and your body just goes into a numbness or a shock, and to drive home, or
I honestly, I can't even tell you how I got home. Everything, you said it in one word: numb. Everything just went numb. I can't tell you what I truly felt, because it was just shocking. It's not what you expect, but in the back of your head, you knew, but it's not what you wanted. It wasn't what you wanted to hear. So all of it was just, it was so much for me. I didn't even know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle those emotions, because when someone tells you, I'm feeling emotions, when you find out you have cancer, you go through this roller coaster of emotions, from anger to sadness to frustration to confusion to crying to sorrow to pity, all these emotions that are just building up, and you're just trying to figure out what is going on inside of me before I explode with all of these emotions. It is probably the most challenging thing. And I think one thing that you always ask is, what is one thing that you, if you knew that before, you got diagnosed, what would that be? And it would be to understand those emotions, because it's a lot. It's a lot of emotions. And a lot of people don't understand when I say I felt so many emotions in one moment that I just couldn't cope with it. I just couldn't cope with it, that I just went numb.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to cope with. Everything moves very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what you know now, are there things that you would do differently in this cancer journey?
Absolutely. I think I would have looked for mental health care, because it's something that I have needed throughout the entire journey, because it is traumatic. You do face a lot of stuff. You do face a lot of emotions. And although you are surrounded by so much love and support, you are so isolated. It is so lonely. It is so dark. It is so confusing that it's hard to get an understanding of what is happening to you, because in the process, you're really changing. The person that you were prior to your diagnosis is not the person that you are during your journey, and not the person that you are after you've finished your cancer treatment. You really do evolve through that whole period. And I wish that I would have had mental health with me at that time to help me navigate all of the emotions, because I realized that I was in a really bad space. And unfortunately for me, I am able to hide it. I was able to hide it behind my smile, behind my happy demeanor. And my family didn't even know that I was in such a deep depression, because I was covering it up. I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I didn't want anyone to worry about me. But ultimately, I should have allowed those emotions to reflect, so that someone could have helped me, because it could have gone a very different way than what it did prior to coming together with Shay's Warriors.
Yeah, and I think too, that is a huge component of why Shay's Warriors came to be, because at a certain point in time, insurance stops. After the cancer treatment stop, you're supposed to go back to that life
Mm-hmm.
of who you were, but
Yeah.
you're not that person anymore. And Shay has been able to bring our communities together at no cost, because the community is helping our community thrive and continue to get some of that emotional and physical support at no cost, even after the cancer is done and the insurance stops. And it's time for us to move forward together in community. And that, I think, has helped a lot of us. And with that being said, that takes me to my next question. What do you think, what should people not say to a survivor or to someone that is currently going through cancer?
The one that kills me the most is, you beat it. You're fine. It's okay. Get over it. No, it's not over. It's just a different stage that I'm in. Um, Going through cancer treatment, although I am a person of faith, um, the one thing it drove me nuts was people telling me, oh, you just got to allow God to heal it. I understand that, but in my mental state, I am angry at God. I am so angry because I don't understand why this is happening to me. So I didn't want to hear, just let God do it, because I was angry and I didn't know how to address that. I didn't know what to do. It's just, it's so hard when you're not walking the journey and you're not understanding what is happening. And I can see why it's so easy to say those phrases, like, get over it. It's okay. Move on. You're okay. You beat it. It really isn't. It's not. It's so much more than that. It's not about beating it. It's really about the full journey and really truly understanding it. And only a cancer patient that has gone through the whole thing will understand it. So a lot of friends and family don't understand, and they do have the tendency of, having those thoughts and saying, get over it. And they think it's okay. For them, they don't understand what they're saying, because to them, they see the journey over, but they don't see the full picture. And I know that it's not a malicious thing, but it hurts a lot. It hurts a lot. If it's friend, family, even our medical professionals, it hurts, because for us, it's not something that we get over. It's not something that we have to just toss away. It is a very real and a very difficult chapter in our lives, and to get over it is not, it's not the best way to address it.
Right. And that brings me to my last question. Here you are today. Your gorgeous, thick black hair has grown back. You have a new smile on your face. I have the privilege to get to work with you and volunteer and see you quite often. But for those maybe ladies or men that are just starting their cancer journey, whether it's breast cancer or any other type of cancer out there, you've now made it to this point. What do you or have you incorporated into your life that has contributed to this new smile that you have and to this new Elizabeth that the world knows?
So I have learned how to cope with the many emotions that I have dealt with. I still deal with them. I do have mental health care now. And I have learned to live my life only one day at a time. So it's only about today. I don't worry about yesterday, and I definitely don't worry about tomorrow. I focus on my today, which allows me to focus on everything that I want to. It gives me the grace to tell myself that I love myself, that I'm beautiful, that I am able to do anything that I want. And that has truly made a big difference in my life, to be able to say that I can take care of myself, and by giving myself that self-care that I needed for so long. It's opened my heart to new adventures, to new friends, to getting out of the house and not being a hermit crab. And even so far as to go back to school and experience a whole new Elizabeth, as you said. And it is so exciting. It is just probably one of the best chapters of my life. And I am so excited to have all the lovely people that I have surrounding me, because right now, at this point in my life, I feel so empowered. I feel so alive. And it is something that I've been missing. And it's going to be weird to say this, but I'm thankful for my cancer journey, because although I went through all that heavy darkness, I found my light at the end of the tunnel through my cancer journey, and I found my purpose, and I know what direction I need to go, and I am going to continue giving back to my fellow cancer survivors. I want to advocate for them, and I want to support them, and I want to help them the way that Shays Warriors has given to me. The community is beautiful, and I can't wait to be with everybody and share everything that I'm about to learn and give back.
I love it. Elizabeth, you are a beautiful, beaming light. And I just want to thank you so much for having a huge open heart to share your story today with our audience and with our community, because you do continue to show yourself. And from the time that we met to even now, it's like you've ran 5 marathons already, right? So thank you for having this story and sharing your journey with all of us. And I know that if anyone is out there and they want to reach out and talk to Elizabeth, please let us know. We'll get you in contact with her. And everyone, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, everyone, for sharing this with us, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.